What's going on YouTube? It's Overwatch here and I'm bringing you my locals tournament report. Now, for those of you who don't want to hear my matchups and all that kind of stuff, I will leave a link in the description box down below for the original deck profile. Now, I came second place, 4 rounds, first round playing DDD, second round playing Kozmo, third round playing Mermail, and I lost in the final round to Kozmo. And I feel like I probably could have done better in that last round, but I misplayed slightly and it would definitely have kept me in the game if I hadn't made the play, which I did. But whatever, what is, and the deck performed overall really well, and I'm happy with the ratios and things and how just all the cards played out in general. So without further ado, let's show you the actual list itself. I played the 3 Dark Lady. Now, people were saying to just only run 1 to 2 copies of this card. The third copy actually came up clutch a lot of times in the Kozmo mirrors, where I was able to have a Dark Lady in my banish zone to add back to my hand with Kozmo Town to then just immediately summon. I have 1 in my graveyard to be able to summon with the Soul Troopers, and 1 in the deck to be able to summon with the bigger ships. So where I was able to just, during my turn, crash my ships. Well, first off crashing my little ships to summon like this card out, maybe like the Landwalker or the Forerunners to get this card out and still have like a Dark Destroyer on board. And then the Dark Destroyer attacking into the other Dark Destroyer and then using this card to just negate my opponent's Dark Destroyer from summoning out other cards was absolutely insane. And I will probably change the ratios between this and my Soul Troopers just to see how that works out. And while we're on the topic of Soul Troopers, I did only run 2 copies of Soul Trooper. Now, there was a couple times where I could have got the combo off with the multiple Delta Shuttles, and I did need the 3rd Soul Trooper to be able to get that combo off. So there was a few extra times I could have wombo comboed my opponent, but because I didn't have the 3rd Soul Trooper, I couldn't obviously do that. So if I was to change any of the ratios up between these 2 cards, I will probably end up swapping out a Dark Lady for Soul Trooper, just to see how that actually reshapes the deck and hopefully make it run a bit more smoother. To Strawman, no real explanation needed for Strawman. 2 copies was absolutely amazing. I wouldn't ever consider cutting this card to 1 or bumping this card up to 3. The card would probably just end up clogging. Being able to just recur it back with Kozmo Town is an easy way to be able to get that 3rd copy if you ever need it. 2 Tin Can was really good. The extra Tin Can was just nice to have all around. If I ever did need a 3rd copy, I could just shuffle it back into the deck. 2 Tin Can, I wouldn't bump the card up to 3, and I will be keeping it at 2 for now until something convinces me to drop it down to 1 copy. My final pilot was Wicked Witch. Wicked Witch was okay throughout the day. Never really used her to her full potential except in the Kozmo mirror and in the Mermail match. Maybe once, if that. Didn't run Farm Girl because found there was no real need for Farm Girl. You rarely get direct attacks in nowadays, especially against Monarchs and Kozmo, where Kozmo tend to just have multiple ships on board anyway, so Cosmojo doesn't really clear the board that many times. Same thing with Monarchs, where they just keep summoning the trap out and blocking your Farm Girl attacks. And throughout the day, really, there was never a time where I was like, I really need a Farm Girl at this point. If I ever summoned anything out with E-Tele, it was normally just Strawman, where I could easily just get a Dark Destroyer back from my Banish Zone and just attack with that, and still be able to get a Tin Can during the end phase. I felt that was much more appropriate than just summoning out a Farm Girl. that was it for the pilots. Nothing happened throughout the day which was like, oh, I really need to swap this ratio out, or I really need to take this card out, or I really need to add another copy of this card in. Nothing like that actually ever happened throughout the day. I was really happy with the ratios in total, and like I said, the only thing I could possibly change is swap a Dark Lady for a Sword Trooper. 3 Dark Destroyer, nothing really to say about Dark Destroyer, it was Dark Destroyer. 3 Slip Rider. The 3rd Slip Rider was really good. I like the 3rd Slip Rider. Just having extra cards to go into rank 5s with, and the extra back row destruction was really good. The 1 Delta Shuttle for the combos. 2 Forerunner. This card was actually really nice. I managed to pull off like multiple OTKs with the Forerunner, the Dark Lady, and a Dark Destroyer. Where just having the Dark Destroyer on board, summoning Dark Lady, attacking with Dark Lady, Dark Destroyer, and then banishing this for Forerunner from hand, that was the actual way I OTK'd most of the time throughout the day. There is still like I said, no need for farm girl if you can pull off just something like this. So I really did actually like the 2nd Forerunner in total. The life point gain was never that sufficient to affect the game at all, because of course I don't run extra cards like Solemn Strike and things, which just require you to pay a lot of life points. And yeah, the 2nd the 2nd Forerunner was just really nice, and I will probably end up keeping it at 2. 1 Landwalker. I was considering running a 2nd Landwalker for the 2nd Forerunner, but now I know how good like Forerunner can actually be in things like the mirror and stuff. I will probably just keep the 1 Forerunner, not the 1 Forerunner, the 1 Landwalker. I never really actually used this card once again to its full potential. I saved a Dark Lady once, and that was kind of it. It didn't really affect the game too often because I was winning at that point anyway. The 1 Baby Chicken Viking Avatar Grunix. I drew this card so many times you would not believe. Like, out of... I can't remember how many games I played in total, but at least 4 of those games I drew this card in my opening hand. Along with Viking Island as well, so... The insult to injury was just... I will probably run a 2nd copy of the chicken now, just to stop me from... Like, if I do draw into the 1 copy, then I still have access to Viking Island to pop my ships with. But... yeah, that card just was the most annoying card throughout the day. Finally, 2 Maxi. Once again, another card, if I decide to cut from the main deck, will probably be the 2 Maxi. In theory, it was really good. In practice, it was okay. I broke even with it mostly, and that was about it. If they did use Viking Island, they just kind of stopped their combo and went into a tin can. And I only really got the 1-for-1 on that. So, you could cut Maxi. Like I say, in theory it was good, but in practice not too much. Overall, was really happy with the monster to ship ratio. Won't really change much to the deck, just a few minor changes here and there, which I will do some testing with. And if I like it, then I will change it. If I don't like it, I will keep the deck the same. The 1 island for the combos. Couldn't see myself bumping this card up to 2 or even 3. The 1 copy of it was just really good. I saw it as often as I needed to go with it. The 2 Cosmo Town. Still only running 2 copies of this card. We'll test out the 3rd copy to see how it goes. And if I just keep drawing multiple copies of it, then I will drop it back down to 2 again. Even with just the 2 copies, I still kept drawing multiple copies of this card. There were a few times I drew both of these cards, but I drew the chicken with it, so that didn't really help at all. To be able to search those cards, I ran the 2 terraforming. This was the card which allowed me to see the Fire King Island as often as I wanted to. The 3 terraforming, the 1 island and the 2 town is probably the best ratio you could go for to see the cards as often as you could ever want to. 2 e-teleport, nothing really to say about it. 1 reasoning. Another card I will probably cut from the deck, just to maybe add in the possibility of the 3rd Sword Trooper or some other ships or the other Grunics. In theory it's really good, it's basically another e-tele, but this does, like, it's a worse Fire King Island in my opinion, because your opponent can't really call Fire King Island and get it correct. Like, if you activate this, they're obviously just going to call Dark Destroyer, and if you hit Dark Destroyer then you don't really get anything off of it. Whereas with Fire King Island, it does this card's job, but better really, so we'll probably end up cutting reasoning. 2 Allure Darkness. This card was Allure Darkness, it was really good. You just got so much plus of this card, especially with Cosmotown as well. I drew both these cards in my opening hand against DDDs with a Dark Lady and Sword Trooper. Drew a bunch of cards, got Cosmotown, added Dark Lady back, summoned out Dark Ladies, Dark Destroyers, Forerunners, OTK'd. That was about it really. Spell cards were really good. Only 1 change I would make to the spell cards. I will definitely be dropping reasoning for something else. I never found the real need for reasoning. I never saw it. I never actually resolved the card to be able to see its full potential. But the odds are I probably would have hit Dark Destroyer and not got anything off of it. So if I was going to take anything from my spells, definitely the reasoning. For the traps, 3 Call the Haunted, 2 Deflector, and 1 Cosmojo. Now, I was really happy with this ratio. I would not change the traps whatsoever. If anything, if I was to change maybe one thing, it would possibly be a 2nd Cosmojo or the 3rd Magical Deflector. Call the Haunted, I would not change. I would drop it to 2. Call the Haunted was just absolutely amazing, especially now that I put in the 2nd tin can to go with it. The Magical Deflector was absolutely amazing. It stopped Cosmotowns, it stopped Islands, it stopped the DDD's search spell or whatever, which actually came in just really quick. Like, he activated the spell and I just flipped this up and that was basically the end of his turn. He activated Allure Darkness and drew some cards and set a card, and that was about it. Nothing actually came out of his play from there, and I just proceeded to OTK from there. Cosmojo was okay. I think I saw it once and resolved it once, and that was about it. I will definitely be trying to bump this up to a 2nd copy, just so I can see it more often. It is searchable with Cosmotown, so I will, if I add in the 3rd Cosmotown, I will definitely be throwing in the 2nd Cosmojo, just so that I can pop a Cosmotown and get a Cosmojo. That's it for the main deck. Overall, really happy with the main deck. Would only change a few minor things, and even then they would just be for testing purposes. And if I don't like how the deck turns out, then I will just go back to this deck list because I'm just overall happy with it. For the extra deck, never made it. In theory, it's really good. Made this basically all the time. It was just absolutely insane. One of the more necessary cards to have in your extra deck. Still Pleiades, never made it. Considered making it once, and that was about it. The Super Quantum Mech Beast Mangliaga. This card was, it was in theory again really good. Never made it though. Never made it. Never made it. Never made it. Made it all the time. Leviair was absolutely amazing. Break Sword, made it once. It was pretty good. I destroyed a Cosmotown. My own Cosmotown with it, and just destroyed. I think it was the mermail's a big 2400 monster, the Yugioh or whatever it's called. The one Super Quantum Mech Beast Grand Pulse for the combo. Held the art light for the combo. Never made the two of them. In theory, they're good. The one F-Zero Utopic Future, never made it. Once again, in theory, really good. And Cyber End Dragon, because people are starting to drop the actual machine type monster from the extra deck. I personally want to keep it in there just in case they do pop Manova. And if everyone starts seeing that people are dropping a card like this, or the Roid card, whatever it is, the 4000 attack Beast King Barbaroid, I think it's called, Ultimate Machine King, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember what it's called, but people are more likely to start popping the Nova, and you'll just summon out a 4k beta and they'll realise that they really don't want to be doing that again. So it's always nice to have the card just in case. That's it for the extra deck. The extra deck overall was just really good. No changes I could want to make to the extra deck at all. For the side deck, I of course had the 3 cherries and the Dante. Never sided it in, never played BA. Denko Seka is for the demise decks like Kui and your Senju and all that kind of stuff. In theory it was good, never sided it in. Farmgo and Regeki for Rogue, never actually sided it in because I never found the need to side it in. Twin Twisters, sided this in basically all the time except for the mirror match, where I thought they may be siding in Imperial Iron War against me, and I never saw Imperial Iron. Oh, I saw it once and immediately twin twisted it, and that was in a DDMe match where he set 3 and passed, and he flipped up Imperial Iron Wall and I just immediately twin twisted it, discarding a Dark Destroyer, and then attacked with some monsters and then set a Call the Haunted and Magic Deflector and proceeded to win basically from there. System down, started this in against the mirror. I saw it once and that was it. It was okay. That was about it. 3 Mask of Restrict, never played Monarchs, never sided it in. Anchor, Sealed of Forbidden Spell, never played Monarchs, never sided it in. In theory, it's really good. For those people who don't know what this does, basically, when a spell card is activated, you discard 1 spell card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. And, if you do, then your opponent cannot activate spell cards with the same name as that card. So, you can activate this on Pantheisms, on Stormforce, and all that good stuff, so that your opponent can't activate them again for the rest of the duel. I mean, negating a Pantheism is just absolutely insane, and then them not being able to use that card again for the rest of that duel is just amazing. That's it for the deck profile and my little tournament review. I do hope you liked it, so leave a like, post a comment on just like changes to the deck and what you think of Kozmo in general. Whether you think the Viking Island build is better, or whether you think the pure Kozmo build is better. I would actually like to test out the pure Kozmo build just to see how it goes, and I will probably bring out a deck profile of that for you in the near future. So, subscribe to the channel also if you're new and you liked the video, and I hope you enjoyed.